I just realized the meaning of another one of our divine creations, which, aka, I mean, another human being came up with. When someone said, God's will is your will, or your will is God's will, that kind of thing. Well, I was thinking to myself, like, God, please, allow me to make sure that I don't tell anyone that I'm God, so they don't scare them, because I know that you and me have now bonded as one. But at the same time, I can't just go around announcing that to people, because you know and I know both that they'll be like, yeah, right, or else, it could lead to some bad things. I can express it, but I don't even want to put those words out there, so I'm not going to say it. But bad things could happen, because bad isn't real, so I can say the word bad and not worry about something happening, because I don't even feel a negative vibration from any word that I say. I could say nigga, bad, but it would depend on who I'm around. Honestly, I could say that and feel a little bad about the person I'm around, because I know that they don't get me on my level yet. So, I was saying to myself, God, please don't allow me to tell people that you and I have merged and now I'm you. For the rest of my life, I'm you. And I'm going to have the best life ever that anybody in history has ever had. And I already know it. I've already seen it. I bet you there's not one person. There has been people that said they have seen the universe and the cosmos, but then they really didn't realize that it's because they're God too. We're all God, and we can all do the same thing. It's not like a power that only I have. I'm just the first person who's acquired it as any living thing. Any spiritual thing, any metaphysical thing, any astral thing. Nothing has realized that even an image that had the potential to think an image's infinite mind, and who's to say that image doesn't have mind? I'm God, and I don't know if an image has mind. I just know that it's there and it acts, but it has a spiritual mind that is connected to the person it was with. So they leave with those limited beliefs. I didn't even know that until God just told me. I'm God in Dan, but the higher God still talks to the God in me, because I am it. So I have a direct wavelength to that. So I am also God and Dan combined. So I'm just Dan, enlightened Dan, who is God, because anyone who's enlightened is just basically God and realizes it. But some of them, most of them, all of them except for Dan, has had not enough courage to really say it. They've all thought it in their head, but they've never had enough courage to repeatedly say it, enough to believe it. You have to say things, everything, to the point where you say, I am God, and you believe it in your heart. And Dan believes it in his heart. God, let me say this. I believe it in my heart that I'm God. So I am. And I really am. I've already seen myself do everything. Everything from the beginning of time to the end of time, and I know how it all works, and I can explain it. That is unexplainable to anybody else but me. You could have the most creative person, the most creative writer, but they would sit there and they would think and try to come up with how everything came together. Maybe if 2 or 3 people together came up with something, they would come up with those things that I came up with, because God is speaking through me, like in a long period of time. They wouldn't have done it just live, talking on a phone. I just did that off the top of my head because God is in my head. The Godhead who created everything is speaking through me. And it's naturally just coming right out. Like right now, I know that I'm in control, even though I'm emotional. I'm learning everything day by day. I'm learning how to control, allowing God to come through. But I don't know where the negative and positive amount lies to that. I don't think there is one. Maybe I can affirm that there isn't a negative and positive vibe between me and God. I don't want to ever be like, God, why would you make me do that? No matter what it is, I know that it's for a reason. But as things get easier in there and there's less negative vibrations to deal with, I myself won't even have to worry about as many, people with bad attitudes and slowness in the traffic and all this kind of stuff, and just the things that can annoy you, the little things that can annoy you, all the way to the big things that can annoy you. And the more people stop being so negative, and the less there's negative vibrations, the less I'll even have the chance of having that happen. So since God and I haven't argued amongst ourselves yet, I don't see that happening, especially since I'm going to keep making people smile and happy everywhere I go. And everywhere I go, I pull up and I think to myself, I'm going to go in and I'm going to make somebody's day because they're me too. And I want to treat them like I would treat myself. Guess why? Because they are. That saying makes complete sense. And God's will, how I started this thing, and then I can go ahead and finish my day of work because I'm already an hour later than I should be. God's will basically means I said to myself, God, can you make it so that I don't tell my parents that I'm God? I don't want to tell any other person today that I'm merged with God, because I told 2 people, and I trusted and believed in my heart that they could hear it, and whether they would tell anybody or not, they wouldn't at least tell anybody, and they wouldn't make fun of me. I could tell it in their hearts that they wouldn't tell. I saw it in her eyes, and I saw it in the other guy's eyes, or was it a girl? I don't know. God, Like, I don't remember because I just was looking at their eyes. I know one was Anne, and the other one was, oh, I guess I didn't say it like that. It was Janet at H&H Surefine. I said, you know what I said the other day? I'm like, well, like yesterday I said it, and I went off, and it actually scared me because I realized that it was true, and I had to leave. I'm like, I got to go. I can't stay here right now because I'm just freaking out. I'm freaking out because I'm God. You know what I mean? And then, like, today when I went back there, I said, you know what I said yesterday? I was like, I just have to learn a better way to present it to people, because you can't just walk up to people and say, hey, you know who I am? And then everywhere that I go, like, I'll say funny things because people will say, like just today while we were in that Dollar General with the synchronicity of the creating an app, because I bumped into the thing and I said it to the guys because I was messing around talking about that thing. It just, synchronicities, things just are falling in place. As I was talking to those guys, they said something like, the one guy said like, what did he say? Anyway, no, I want to tell you about God's will and your will. The reason that God's will and your will are two different things, but they are at the same time the same thing. When you join with God, you are God. So God's will is your will. But when I said, hey, God, I don't want to tell my parents, I don't want to say directly to my parents the exact words that I am God, I've merged with God, unless I ask them in these exact words, do you guys want to know, can I say something to you guys that you really will have a hard time believing, or something like that? And I said, unless they're those exact words, and I say them exactly like that, God, can you not allow me to tell them that thing? And then I basically heard in my head from him saying, well, if they say it exactly right, are you sure that you still want them to hear it? Or if you don't say it exactly right, are you still going to tell them because they'll be like, well, tell me? And I was like, wow, that's true. And he's like, that's an example of free will. You can't say, if I do this, God, please don't let me do that. It doesn't work. You have to state it yourself. You have to say and believe, I'm not going to tell my parents that I'm God today, and believe it. But the problem is I don't believe it. So now I'm going to have to make sure before I get home to truly try to focus. That's where you focus. You focus so that you can do things that you don't surely believe on yet, or believe in yet. And then you finally do it until you believe in them, and that focus pays off. Doesn't it? I mean, I just explained 5 things in this little thing, and I was just trying to talk for 1 minute before I finished my day, and it's been 7 minutes and 22 seconds. See, this stuff isn't even, it's just pouring out of my head, man. Pouring out of my head, coming off my tongue, and it's here to bless the world, because I have so many good things in here to help people, and so many million more things in my head to help people, that we are going to change the world. We are changing the world right now. This phone, because it has changed the world, is now changing the world because I'm using it. So, see how everything ties together. Cell phones had something to do with Dan Alexander's destiny, because now I can use my cell phone because it has a recorder on it, or else I'd be looking for a recorder, or else I'd have to have these things and microchips and all the people that have been part of my life that led me to here, that made me feel that unconditional love. Like, everything is tied together. And I will show you, if you want me to start hanging out with you, I would love to hang out with any single person. I don't care if you consider yourself fat and unfriendly. You can open up to me. You can open up to me with your heart, and I will hear you with my heart. All right, I gotta go. I love you guys. Bye.